Settle in. Let yourself get comfortable. Let the day leave you the way air leaves a room when you open a window. Slowly, quietly, without any effort at all, tonight, you're somewhere far from here. Somewhere silent and vast and impossibly still. Tonight, you're in space. Commander Elara Vasquez was 700 million miles from Earth when she turned the cabin lights down to their lowest setting. It was a habit she'd developed early in the mission, dimming the overheads to almost nothing, so the only light in the ship came from outside. Saturn filled the observation window. Not all at once. The planet was too close to see whole. What filled the glass was a sweep of pale gold, banded with cream and ochre, curving gently like the inside of a shell. The rings stretched in both directions, impossibly thin, impossibly wide, catching the distant sunlight and turning it into something softer. Elara floated before the window, her body drifting in the slow, easy way bodies drift without gravity. One hand rested against the glass. It was cool beneath her fingertips. Behind it, the rings turned in silence. The ship hummed around her. The air recyclers breathed. The thermal regulators clicked faintly. These sounds had become her silence. The way rain becomes silence if you fall asleep to it every night. Inside all of it was a quiet so deep it had a texture, like velvet, like the space between heartbeats. Mission Control had signed off hours ago. She was alone. Not lonely. She'd made peace with the distinction, but alone in the way that only one person has ever been alone at this distance from every other living thing. She drifted to the small desk near her sleeping compartment. A notebook was velcroed to the surface. Actual paper, actual pen. She opened it to a blank page and began to write. "Dear Tomas," she wrote. She always addressed the letters to her brother in Montevideo, though she hadn't decided whether she'd ever send them. "It's night here," she wrote, though that doesn't mean what it used to. There's no sunset. The ship decides when it's night, and my body follows along. But tonight feels like night. The real kind. The kind we used to have on the balcony in summer, when the city went quiet and you could hear the river. She paused. Outside the window, a fragment of ice caught the light and flared. A tiny, silent spark, then dimmed and tumbled on. I watched the rings again tonight. They looked like something that shouldn't exist. Like someone took every quiet moment that ever happened and stretched them in a line, circling something enormous and patient. Everything out here is moving, just so slowly that stillness and motion become the same thing. She set the pen down and drifted back to the window. Saturn's light was not like sunlight. It was reflected, second-hand, borrowed from a star that was just a bright point from here. It arrived having travelled so far, it had forgotten how to be sharp. What was left was gentler, a glow that felt like warmth, the way a memory of summer feels warm in winter. She thought about Tomas. The balcony, the wrought iron railing, and the sound of the river. The way he'd fall asleep in his chair with a book on his chest while the city murmured below. She'd drape a blanket over him, sit in the other chair, and neither of them would say anything because nothing needed to be said. Distance didn't erase people, she'd learned. It clarified them, as if proximity had been a kind of noise. And now, in the silence, she could finally hear them clearly. She drifted back and wrote one last thing. It doesn't shrink, Tomas. It doesn't break. It just gets quieter, like a room after everyone's gone to sleep. Still full, just quiet. She capped the pen. She closed the notebook. She let herself drift to the sleeping compartment and slipped inside, her arms floating loosely, her body weightless, held by nothing and needing nothing to hold her. Saturn's pale gold light reached across the cabin, painting the walls in soft amber. The rings turned. The ship hummed. The air recyclers breathed in and breathed out. Ilara closed her eyes. In the morning, she would send the letter. Not because Tomas needed to read it, but because some words are meant to travel, to cross the distance, however vast, and arrive somewhere warm. But morning was a long way off. For now, there was only the quiet, the glow, the slow drift of a body at rest inside a ship, inside the dark, circling a world of storms crowned with rings of ancient ice, turning in silence around a distant star. For now, there was only sleep,